Dad?
Yeah, pretty much. Hey everybody! Hi, this is me, Greg, and what I'm doing, I'm actually painting my Terminus. I finished painting the Terminus today with all of the different accrements. I did all the colors and stuff I did with all the brushes and things. And so what I'm doing here is I'm just going to go finish up with some modpodge. Modpodge, I'm going to paint it and seal off all the colors and everything. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to talk to you about stuff as I do this. It shouldn't take too long. So let's see, I'm going to go ahead and just talk with you. I have my little me here. This is my little me. Hey everybody, this is my little me. And this is my the Oceanviper. Oceanviper is here. So these are my creations that I made for my dinosaur story. And my son has his little gecko toy from don't make it touch the paint, the Mod Podge. Bring him to the front. Bring him to the front. Let him stand in front over here. Over here. Yeah. Oh, but don't let him fall down. Well, we should paint the tails too, Lucky. Let me paint the tail of your guy here, so it's sealed. Yeah. So that way it's sealed too. The paint doesn't. See what happens when you paint it? It turns white, but then when it dries, it gets clear. It makes a little couple of streaks and stuff like that. So you have like this, and as you do it, so you see it, and then it becomes clear. So yeah, I'm gonna just put a little coat on the tail because we fixed the tail the other day with Instamorph, and that way you keep the paint from chipping off. It's almost like a seal. And the more coats you put, the much better it gets. So I'm gonna leave him here. I have to paint my person too, but I'm not going to do that on this video. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep Mod Podging, that's even a word, I guess Mod Podging, put me over here to stand here against it. I have put pipe cleaners on my little person, that way he can stand up because otherwise he's going to fall forward. So I had it where I was just before I was painting all of them, and I just started listening to some different things, different music, and things talking about going professional and being a professional at something, It's like there's so many things. I was talking before last night on the bike ride home about how there's a call for the elite, how the elite are trying to recruit people to become elite too. But then many times when people get to the point where they see the elite, what it's about, they get really frightened about it because they see that it's all manner of wickedness and stuff. Not necessarily all the case, but I mean, it's something about human nature. You just can't escape the fact that at the top of it, one day we're all gonna die, and then all of us gonna give an account before the Most High for the stuff that we've done. So my thoughts is, do what you can to glorify God while you're alive. Because we're only a generation away from being forgotten, right? All the stuff we've done. So we have one generation or two generations, and then now we're just history book material. That we did something great, and now we're no longer alive, and we go on to our next location. So next location, either we go to heaven or we go to hell, and that's the thing where we have to come to grips with our life in terms of our life. Yeah, I know. I'm gonna paint him up. So right now I'm just putting a coat all over him right here, and I'm here with Chloe and Lucas, and yeah, we can put glow in dark paint on that. We don't have any glow in dark paint there. I'm gonna turn him around a little bit and see if I can paint him from the top down. I was fixing up the eyes, so I'll get the tweezers real quick. I'm gonna repair his eye because I was deciding let me go and put something cool in his eye. There's gonna be something like little. I was gonna make glow in the dark stuff. But I thought let me just do this, and then we'll just decoupage the eyes. Oh goodness. Okay, wow. Great. I have to wait for them to dry some. But decoupage is like the glue, so if I can do this just right, I can get this just right here. Stay put. Alright, little tweezers. Use them with my left hand. Because I'm right-handed. I can't see that. That should hold. I probably should use a crazy glue. Yeah, but it'll definitely stay put now once with the decoupage. Once it starts getting solidified. I'm gonna turn them upside down. And make them all stand up a little bit. So here's this one. Raise the camera up a little bit. This is our kitchen area. This is our staging table. I like to use this for all of our designs and things because it's so nice and bright right here. It's one of the brightest lights we have. It's our glow lights for the glow lights for our plants. So what makes it really cool is that you can see a lot of really cool things, and do a lot of really wonderful things with it in terms of seeing lights and stuff. Let's see, talk about stuff. Let's see. Well, all right. So what is this creature and why am I painting it? Well, in my description, I wrote about how how in the Bible it talks about the beast called the Leviathan, right? And how there's many mentions in the dragon books and things like that. There's always a mention of Leviathan. You've seen different movies. There's even movies called Leviathan, and even like movies like what do you call it? What movie was that? Lost City of Atlantis, right? They had a Leviathan. It was a giant like lobster creature. And so what happens is there's always a mention of that. Now, where does it come from? In the Bible, it mentions about it, and it talks about the creature that in its wake, it like leaves like a brightly colored wake, and as it goes, it's a scary creature with sharp teeth. That you can't bring a spear to it. You can't really kill it or hurt it because it's one of those creatures that are very dreadful, very scary. And so in my story, my Dinosaurcandidates story, you have it where there's fish, Candid Fish. He's running for president, and I started writing this back in 2015, and it was all with my son's high chair, and this is where the high chair used to stand. So where the light is now is where the high chair used to be. And so what happened was, there's a aspect of he talks about like how fish had to go and fight this. Fish is part of the ocean, and he's one of the ocean folk. And so, incidentally, he didn't know his mother was part of an organization called ECRD, the External Crumb Revenue Department. And what they do is that they keep tabs on the surface dwellers, right? And they're kind of like an independent. Um, they go under the name because what happened. The currency of the creatures in Dinosaurcandidates is crumbs, because it was my son's high chair and he had crumbs and they would all eat the crumbs and stuff like that. So what happened? The currency is crumbs. So they have the Department of the External Crumb Revenue Department, ECRD. What they do under the name of, I guess, Crumb Investigation, they're actually keeping tabs on all of the citizens, all the land dwellers and stuff. So with all the land dwellers, what they're doing is that they're unaware of the fact that the ECRD is watching them. So the ECRD had Fish's mom was an agent, and so her job was to kind of inspect a plant called Plant A, and there's also Plant B, and Plant A was under the jurisdiction of Senator Mallory Macruosaurus. And what happened in the story was that there was a couple of leaks, and she had given it an approval, and it was a mistake. So she's like a senator, and it was her jurisdiction to make sure that the plant, because they have plants that process water and plants that process food and plants that do different things throughout the city. And so what happens is what happens in the city was that you have a scenario where there was some cracks and there was intake malfunction, and so Fish's mom, at the time when he was much younger, got pulled into the into intake valve, and so she got stuck. And so as far as he knew, she died. And then so what happened? He wanted to fight against corrupt government because he said, this is not right. That government should do this. And so he started running for the president for the ruler of high chair in the next elections. So incidentally, what happened was as he went to the election stuff, there's a lot of story, but how this ties into this was that he had to eventually go after the Fifth Day. The Fifth Day is an organization that's but the Bible talks about how there was the flood, right? And how when it flooded the whole earth, it's like all the creatures of the earth on the land, they got killed. And so all the creatures of the earth on the land got killed because of the water and because they can't breathe water. But all the fish and the sea creatures, they go unaffected. So because of that, you have a thing where, oh goodness, I touched my hand. The thing. Oh, cool. Oh, man, poor guy. All right, the fish and all the sea creatures went unaffected because the flood was about almost 370 days. It was a year and 10 days. And what happened was they for where they were in terms of before the flood and after the flood, the biblical Genesis flood, you have a thing where the sea creatures, you just kind of following the same human timeline. You have it where the sea creatures weren't unaffected. The water that came from above and came from beneath. The Bible says, it just damaged and killed off all the land creatures. The reason for this, by the way, as we learned in the Bible, the Bible talks about how there was Nephilim and there was giants in the land. And what the Nephilim really were, they were offspring of the angels. Angels had children with humans, and they were making the giant children. And those children were pretty much, they were an abomination because they weren't supposed to be made. Angels and humans were not supposed to have a relationship together. So just kind of as messengers, but these left their estate. The Bible talks about these angels left their estate, and they went to earth and they found women and they had children with them. So this is mentioned in the book of Enoch. The book of Enoch talks about that and how they taught the women sorcery and things like that, and taught them how to do different potions and stuff using the chemicals and elements, and a lot of that kind of falls into what we do with the pharmaceuticals today. But back to the story, the fifth day was going to flood the earth again, and this time forever. They weren't going to do a short-term thing. The 300 days, we're going to do like for years, probably forever, indefinitely, to destroy all mankind, all animal kind that breathes air on land. So what happens? This is one of their champions, the Terminus. The Terminus was designed to stop the Leviathan, or to hold off the Leviathan. The Leviathan itself is a creature they could not control. The fifth day cannot control it. They just know where it is, and they know how to move it with using the raven, because the Bible talks about you have this is all my story. I made this up. It's 100%. Okay, but some of the stuff is true. Some of the stuff is just made up. I'll tell you the stuff that's made up. The stuff that's made up is like the whole raven and the Leviathan thing. The raven, it picks up a Leviathan and starts bringing it to the Solarium. Solarium is something I made up. It's regarding the first sun. When it says God said, "Let there be light," and then there was light. Well, the first sun over the earth was first light. That was light because the Bible talks about the actual making of the sun and the moon and stars, which is only mentioned in the scripture. Sun, moon, and stars were on day 4 of creation. See, the fifth day, the reason why they call themselves the fifth day, the sea creatures, the fifth day is because on the fifth day everything was perfect. According to the scripture, the fifth day was when God created the birds and the sea creatures, so all the flying things, all the flying creatures, all the sea creatures, all the fish and the whales and all that. All those creatures were created on day 5. So going back to how sometimes usually terrorist organization has a principle or some kind of ideology that they have and they hang on to. Well, they hung on to their creation. They said our creation, the fifth day was perfect. Everything was good on the fifth day, and on the sixth day, when God created everything on the sixth day, it became bad because the sixth day is when man came on the picture. And as you know, us humans ruined everything. So and we continue to ruin everything. But God gave us the power to have dominion over the fish and over the birds of the air, the fish, the land animals, all that. We're given dominion to make sure and maintain and take care of the world. So in this story here, they engineered, I'm not entirely sure how we want to go about how they got the parts to engineer the Terminus, and so I kind of leave that a secret, come to that later, because the story is still continuing. But what happens is that as Fish had to go and do a secret mission. His mission was to capture the admiral, the main person in charge of the deep sea, fifth day, and to capture that terrorist organization leader and bring him back to the ECRD, and also Tidal Watch. Tidal Watch is also the one that maintains maintains that the flood waters don't come back again to flood the whole earth. So they're called Tidal Watch, and they're there to protect the humans and the land animals. But so the sea creatures, sea creatures need nothing from us. In real life, animals in the ocean don't need anything from us. They're self-sustained, self-sufficient. They don't need anything. In a sense, they need our absence. They need us to just be away from them, right? But what happens is that we have dominion over the sea, and we tend to poison the sea and the oceans and stuff, and we dump chemicals and plastics and things into the ocean. And so what we do is we do damage to the world. So Tidal Watch is protecting the land creatures. Deep Sea wants to destroy the land creatures and everything that's there. The birds and the fish had a fight at one point, and the first flood happened because they lost it. The solarium fell out of the sky and was buried in the ocean. Okay, so it brings you up to date all the different things. So now, for 100 years, they're working on this creature here. This creature, the Terminus. The ECRD had stolen this creature, which is the Oceanviper. And the Oceanviper takes two pilots to pilot. So you have Fish and Plesiosaur are inside piloting this one, right? So Canted Fish and Plesiosaur are piloting this one. This one also takes two. The Terminus also takes two people to pilot. Kind of like Pacific Rim kind of thing. And so, because it's such a huge creature, and it's very much alive. It's very much alive, but it's kind of a thing where its consciousness has been sedated and in stasis or something, where it just can't do what other creatures can do. So it's kind of like there's a part of it that they can access its brain and can do its motor control. So it's a pretty intense little story thing here going on. My story, so this here is what Fish has gotten. his hands are able to handle the solarium. It's designed for handling inside the solarium. The fifth day are very advanced in their technology because when the flood happened to land animals, but the sea creatures continue to advance. So they're at least 200, 300 years ahead of the land animals and everybody on land. So people, and you know how the octopus, well, the Admiral Oberon, Admiral Oberon is an octopus, and he is designed to not designed, but he was on the destruction of all land animals for what they've done, because what happens is, like, again, the sea creatures don't need anything from us. They're all self-sustained down there. They have all their food. The deeper you go, the less they need anything of people. I've seen videos of the when they go into the Mariana Trench and how they get down to the very bottom of it. They find plastic bags on there, And you see a video how pretty much their entire ecosystem is self-sustained. It's like they don't need anything from us. So if anything, what's fish trying to do? Fish was trying to stop the admiral and stop the land war, because the sea creatures have flying ships. They have cuttlefish. They have all kind of cuttlefish and weaponry that's just destructive. They have another ship called the Rift, and that's going to come up soon in videos. If you're watching me on Instagram, I have more videos on that. Instagram's going to come to it. You'll be able to see some more of that. And so this is what we're doing is just kind of just painting and putting a coat on this, and as it dries, it's going to get opaque. You'll be able to see through it again. So I just kind of make sure it's good to let you know where you're painting, because so you forget where you're painting. If it was all clear in the beginning, you wouldn't be able to see where it's going. But because of the fact that it is clear, you can actually see what needs to be painted, what you've missed. And then it dries. When it dries clear. So you'll see it now. And then you'll see it now, and then what happens when it comes to it, you'll be able to see how good and clear it is, and it's how clear and vibrant. But it's also be like a seal. So all the colors and everything that's been painted on, the little nodules. These things glow in the dark. These little nodules glow in the dark. And it keeps moving. I gotta make sure this jammy stays put. All right. So I'm gonna have to pass another coat on that one later. So what I did for all the different techniques of how the thing was, I used a sponge. A sponge makes really cool scales, and it just kind of breaks up the monotony of how it looks when it's like you're just doing dry brush or brushing. So what happens is that you just kind of painting, and as you're painting it, so it's really cool. You get a chance to do these cool designs. All right, so the Terminus. So the Terminus is one of two. You have the Oceanviper is one, and the Oceanviper is the first one. Oceanviper is number one. Then you have the Terminus number 2, and Leviathan is number 3. The Terminus was designed to hold back the Leviathan. How is it to hold it back? You can't really stop it, because pretty much Leviathan's unstoppable. Well, according to the Bible, it's Hi, let me just flip my camera around real quick. Okay, cool. Yeah, that was weird. The camera just flipped. It just like it ran out of battery for some reason. But it's not. It can't because it's live. All right. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna speed up and get to the point. This here, I just wanted to say that this is this Leviathan was a creature God made, and he said it was so dangerous that he only made one, and so accordingly, maybe that's what causes rogue waves in the ocean. Maybe that's what causes ships to disappear. Maybe that's what. And so in my story, I have the push for all the cool monsters. You have the Loch Ness monster. You have the Kraken. You have the Bermuda Triangle. You have the Terminus. You have the Oceanviper. Oceanviper is the Croin. Sorry, Syrian Croin. And what that is like it's a Scottish monster. And what it could do, which is what these monsters are, they can transform. They can transform from the shapeshifters. And according to it can be the size of a fish, and it can transform into that which is a giant monster, like how it is here. And so the good thing about that is like these are like the champions of the ocean. Right? There's no creature bigger or better or faster than the Terminus and the Oceanviper, other than the Leviathan. So these were designed by the Fifth Day and the ECRD, because the ECRD did the Oceanviper. They stole the Oceanviper from the Fifth Day, Deep Sea Fifth Day, which is ruled by Admiral Oberon. And the Terminus was their project. They never got a hand to it. Nobody was able to find it. So it took somebody from the inside. It was a drone pilot Ammonite Luska, who was able to bring fish and plesiosaur to the deepest parts of the Bermuda Triangle to find this Terminus buried deep, hidden asleep for 100 years. So Fish has his hands on it now. He's piloting it to stop the solarium from reaching the sky, because from the Bible it talks about how In the Bible, so God separated. God put there's waters. The Spirit of God hovered over the face of the earth, face of the deep. The Spirit of God hovered over the face of the deep, right? And when He created the world, He said, "Let there be light." And day 2, He separated the waters above from the waters below, and He put a thing called the firmament. And the firmament is what's our sky, what we see as the sky. The Bible talks about in Revelation how there's the sea of glass, and then there's the crystal seals talks about how He puts the sun, moon, and stars underneath the firmament. So the sun, moon, and stars are within us here in the firmament, but above the firmament is water still. It talks about that in Psalms. It talks about how He waters above the heavens rejoice. And so there's a thing where there's waters above heaven, or above our sky, and that's where the waters above is separate from the waters below. The Bible talks about how the earth is on bases and how it doesn't move, and how the earth is at rest, and also talks about how the world that He made He made it perfect, and that also that one day the sun, moon, and stars stopped moving in the time of Joshua. Joshua he talked to God, and God stopped the sun and moon and stars from moving. So what's really cool about that is that you have it where the they keep mentioning in scripture how the sun moves, and how the sun has a circuit and it follows a path, and how the world is. And so anyway, so Solarium, the first sun fell out of the sky. Let there be light. It fell to the earth. When it fell to the earth, it was buried in the Bermuda Triangle. Hence all the ships and certain magnetic poles and things like that. The Terminus, and the fifth day, they built their base, the deep sea base around there in the Bermuda Triangle, since all these ships that would go there would get destroyed. In the dinosaur story, the Pandora, the United Dinosaur Nations National Guard fleet called the UDN Pandora crashed in the Bermuda Triangle. So they caused all the other ships for the fleet to go. All right. So pretty much, I'm not sure where we're stopped, but okay. So pretty much the Bermuda Triangle is where the last scrimmage is, and underneath is where the solarium was buried, and then so now it's rising up to crack the firmament and drown all the people and the land creatures again, like it did in the flood. Well, like the flood happened to crack the sky. Because the only thing that can crack the sky would be something that's supernatural, like something like God could crack the sky, but something supernatural like the sun could also crack the sky. So that's all I have for you today, ladies and gentlemen. I'm gonna let this dry up, and I'll be able to show you some more. Follow me on Instagram. I'm Dinocandidates on Instagram, and you can find me on Facebook as well. Gregory Valentine Animations, my page, and give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't subscribed to my channel already. So that's pretty much all I have for now, and I'm going to stop this here, let this jammy dry, and I'll let you know about it, through my Instagram.
Bye.
Right, bye.
Bye. Bye.
Okay, I'm done.
Hey guys, a sea creature
Yeah.
hiding underneath the sand.